Lane Cove National Park is a haven for greenery and animals alike. I should know, I've been coming here for most of my life, on long bike rides and bushwalks with family members, usually concluding with an ice cream. It's an escape into nature, right next to one of the busiest areas in northern Sydney. National parks like Lane Cove are the only way that people like you or me can experience the locations that shaped much of the creative movement that was Romanticism. Interestingly enough, it was the ideas presented by Romanticism that led to the creation of national parks. English poet William Wordsworth set out the groundwork for the modern national park in 1810, describing the English Lake District as a sort of national property in which every man has a right and interest who has an eye to perceive and a heart to enjoy. It was these early ideas that shaped the legislation surrounding the protection of Hot Springs, Arkansas, the first recognized national park. Over a century later, Quantock Hills was established as a national character area to recognize the legacy Samuel Taylor Coleridge had created. The beauty of the area preserved to be carried forward to future generations, though it had been when Coleridge himself had roamed its roaring dells. Wordsworth and Coleridge demonstrated that the romantic idea of sharing nature's beauty was a practical one, shaping the future of Romanticism like clay into a beautiful piece of art. Romanticism was one of the first Western cultural eras to defy or contradict current ideals, rather than reinforce existing ones. As a result, the Romantic poets, writers, artists, and politicians faced significant opposition from people who liked the way things were, in a world of industrial growth and reform following the French and Industrial Revolutions. This constant industrialization and commercialization of land was so extreme that there are now only a handful of protected areas in the UK, compared to New South Wales' 235 national parks. Without poets like Samuel Taylor Coleridge or his friend Charles Lamb, it's unlikely that the Quantock Hills Reserve would exist the way it does today. These poets honored the land in the way it was without humans meddling with it, but the amount of land being set aside as nature reserves has been getting smaller and smaller. According to an inquiry done by Australian National University, the last 100 years have seen an increases in land use across Australia, with the biggest increases in urban and agricultural areas. The most affected areas have been woodlands and forests. Areas that would have normally been protected as national parks are now instead being cleared to be used for farming or housing. Areas no longer available to people like you or me, instead laid to waste and made into products, the nature that the Romantics conveyed the beauty of in their poetry. The Romantics saw beauty in what to many people was the accepted and mundane, nothing to bat an eye at. They were able to, through their works, convey their view on the beauty of nature in a manner that was contrarian to popular belief, viewing the natural world as more than resources. The Romantics' worldview of immersed appreciation at the time was controversial because it wasn't considered practical for the expansion that'd be going on for decades at that point. It stood firm against industrialism and colonialism. Land left untouched was resources you couldn't use, wood or valuable ores thrown to the wayside in the name of beauty. And while it mightn't have been practical then, it's probably not a bad idea in the modern day. Our planet is undeniably in a precarious circumstance. Global temperatures are rising due to the release of greenhouse gases, and as of 2017, one football field, 1.5 acres, of trees is cleared every second. Our planet's natural beauty cannot continue if our world has no more nature, slain by the indifference of the status quo. Given that harsh reality, our planet can use more romantics. More people who value the inherent beauty of nature, more people who are driven to protect it, and more people who can convey that beauty to others. Fortunately for humanity, it might just be achievable. Our generation has been there for every benchmark crossed, every point of no return, forced to watch from our lime tree bowers as the world's natural beauty laid waste. The generation that comes now is more consciously aware of the problems our forebears have wrought upon our world. To interact with the world in a meaningful manner, to explore the relationship we have with nature, that is modern romanticism.